thirsty.
Right.
Or thirsty.
All right, I'll open up this town council meeting for November 16th. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All you, Twyla.
All right, so roll call. We'll start with Councilor Albert.
Here.
Councilor Colby.
Here.
Councilor Garrison.
Present.
Councilor La Rochelle.
Is actually out of town this week.
Okay.
We'll vote on that when that time comes.
All right. Councilor Ward.
Here.
Councilor Lund.
Here.
And Councilor Fellows.
Here.
So is there a motion to excuse Councilor La Rochelle?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Oh.
And all those in
Make
favor?
them arm wrestle. I don't care.
All those in favor?
All in favor.
All right, 6-0.
Next item, Twyla.
Is good news and recognition.
Anybody got anything they'd like to share? Step forward.
Normally I don't come up here and mention these sort of things, but I want to tonight. On the 6th, we responded to a accident on Corner Road and Lisbon Street where a car crashed into a building. It required us to have to shore up the edge of the building to make sure the building was secure before leaving. The reason why I'm bringing this up was two individuals in my department, Bob Robitaille and Eric Watson, took it upon themselves to go back to their own homes, utilizing their own supplies to shore up that building. It's things we don't normally carry on our apparatus, the lumber and things like that. And the dedication that these two individuals show to our community felt need to be presented tonight.
Thank you for bringing that forward. Thank them on our
Yeah,
behalf.
commend both of them for making sure the job was done and going back. For sure. Thank you, Chief.
Anybody else?
My name is Gregory Mann. I'm retired Navy. I've lived most of my life in the same house that my great-grandfather bought just after the Civil War. My subject tonight is traffic safety. When my parents brought me home in December of 1952, the pavement stopped in my driveway. The 4/10 of a mile had one house and two camps and a church, which was later destroyed by fire. Now there are 4 driveways below the crest of the hill, which are all blind driveways. The sign above the crest of the hill that shows there's a blind driveway ahead is obscured by branches, and you can't see it. It's a wonder that any one of those 4 driveways hasn't had an accident yet, because gravel trucks travel the road all day. 18-wheelers drive up and down the road all day. I'm surprised that one of those 18-wheelers hasn't taken out the telephone pole at the intersection of King Road and Littlefield. I was overseas in Sicily for 3 years, and when I came back from Sicily, there's a guardrail along Littlefield Road. That's there because somebody went swimming with their car one day. And within the last month, someone was killed coming out of Littlefield Road on 196. If you've ever come from Lewiston and want to make a left-hand turn into Littlefield Road, you're like in a wind tunnel because people go around you into the ditch, and it's only a matter of time before someone else is killed. The road needs to be widened. There's an application from the DOT to do that. The same problem exists at the post office. If you put your blinker on, turn into the post office, but you don't turn into the credit union, there is no extension lane, so you can get off the road. People can go by you without having to go through the turn lane. And if somebody's in the turn lane wants to come into the credit union from the other direction, I don't know. The police could probably tell you how many near accidents there have been. But we shouldn't wait for another person to die before something is done. Applications should be made, and preparation should, or funds should be requested to make these things happen before we have to bury somebody. When people go up and down King Road, a lot of times you see the tires are at least 1.5 feet on the other whipped around him coming up the road, and if there'd been a car coming the other way, both cars, that truck, and both houses on either side would have not been there anymore. 25 years ago, the speed limit was 40 miles an hour all the way through. About 8 years ago, I had a petition circulated. All the residents from Ledge Douglas to the end of the road signed a petition to get the speed limit lowered from 40 to 30. Because you have the crest of the hill, blind driveways, a dip below the crest of the hill, and then you got a curve. One gentleman said he even almost lost his mother-in-law because she was backing out, and because the windows were up, he had to slap his hands on the hood to get her to stop. She would have been hit broadside. Speed limits don't mean anything to people who don't live there, but they do to people who do. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
I want to say I used to live over on King Road, and I used to walk that road regularly, so I'm very familiar with the issues you're talking about. I've been there for a long time, and they're just getting worse as people speed through there more. So I certainly support what you're saying.
Anybody else? Seeing none, let's move forward, Lyle. Thank you.
No public hearings. It'll be audience participation and response for agenda items.
I think we were already there. Anybody else got anything else for that item? Anything on the agenda? No. Moving forward.
Okay, next is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be considered for one motion, with no separate discussion unless a counselor requests an item to be removed for immediate discussion. Any counselor wishing to remove an item may do so now. Seeing none, Order 2021-229 to approve the municipal accounts payable warrants for $924,834.29. The municipal payroll warrants for $337,198.01. The school accounts payable warrants for $667,469.83. The school payroll warrants for $1,227,423.94. The minutes of October the 19th, and to set public hearings for December 7th for a special entertainment permit for the Slovak Catholic Association and one for the Coombs Mountford Post 158, along with public hearings for the automobile graveyard permits for Camp Bell's Used Auto Parts and Houston's Auto Salvage, along with MDOT's modification number 2 to the three-party partnership agreement, authorizing the town manager to sign the three-party agreement on behalf of the town, and the municipal state agreement proposed improvements to Route 125, authorizing the town manager to sign the municipal state agreement and authorizing the use of Dingley TIF funds to pay for the town's 10% share, along with ratifying the election results and approving the waiver of foreclosure, authorizing the treasurer to record a waiver of foreclosure in the Registry of Deeds for properties at 18 Mill Street, 19 Mill Street, 15 Mill Street, 11 Upland Road, 10 Mill Street, and 18 Lisbon Street as requested, and to approve a road name request for Cattail Lane off Mill Street.
I'll make the motion. I need a second.
Second.
I got the second with Mr. Albert over there. All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item.
Council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2021-230, the audit presentation.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming.
I'm Ron Smith, principal at RHR Smith and Company, and we have diligently worked our way here tonight to present your 6/30/2021 audit. So obviously, if I'm here the middle part of November as opposed to January, it's another past. Obviously there's progress that's been made. I think we all understand that. And before I even start, I would probably say I can't sum up the past year and a half, financially in the world of government. And I mean, there's just so many skews, out there, whether they be revenue skews or expense skews. It's pretty hard in the pandemic to really try to get back to some kind of baseline or normalcy. And I think it's just something to get used to over the next 2 or 3 years, as we have all this stimulus money pouring in to really kind of mitigate and skew a lot of the things of who we are and what we do in the world of government. And I don't see it, changing at all for another 2 or 3 years. I really don't. But as far as the town of Lisbon goes, financially, you ended the year going up in year surplus about $1.4 million. So, and of which you were able to move almost $1.2 million for some specific dedicated projects that you guys took as action this past year on that. But your undesignated fund balance is about $3.4 million, and last year was about a little over $3.1 million. So I think that that's great news, financially, and again, I can attribute a lot of it to almost $500,000 of favorable excise tax collections. But a lot of it's attributable, and I think this is really where the skewness goes from year to year, and the same can be said for the school department too, expenses. I mean, it's pretty tough, for a year, still in a pandemic, to really kind of, understand what the word normal means, given, that a lot of your operations for a good part of last year, the beginning part of this year that just ended, weren't normal, and I'm not even sure what normal looks like right now. So I think it's going to take about 3 years for the normalcy of governmental expenses to come back around. I think a lot of that's mitigated, by a lot of the stimulus money that's being injected into the world, right now, including the state of Maine and its political subdivision. So it's really tough for me to sit here and give you advice. But what I will give you is the advice of this ARPA money that you're going to get and the other future stimulus packages that are going to be coming your way. Don't live outside your means, because I saw this back in 2008, and there were a lot of programs that were created, and there were a lot of programs 4 years after that went away, including jobs. So I would just say have a plan, have a purpose, and stay within that plan. And I would say the same for, I know there's members of the school department here, stay true to the town, stay true to the school, and stay within that plan, but have a plan, because this isn't going to last forever, and again, the closest thing that I think we've seen in a very long time to this was the ERA money, that came back in 2008 when the economy collapsed. So again, stay true to Lisbon. Stay true to Lisbon town. Stay true to Lisbon school department and all your, your endeavors and your plan and your mission, and don't live outside that. Because my concern is what happened in 2008. It came and it went. So did a lot of program services. That would be the advice, that I give you. The school department fund balance grew, from a little over $1 million to $1.3 million, went up over $300,000. And I say the same to the school department. Live within your means. There's a lot of, it's gone from CARES money to ESSER money to ARPA money. I don't know what other money's going to be out there now, what other acronyms we're going to use. Stay true to who you are. So, but financially, this is the best the town of Lisbon has been during our career, with you guys and our relationship by far, and I think that's kudos off to you to be, fiscally prudent and, the signs of discipline, and I think we got to stay even more disciplined through these times and these other new stimulus packages that'll be, rearing their heads and coming at you for infrastructure and other, other needs, that you'll have. So, some words of just the audit and some of the conversations. We're still, I would say, I won't say knee deep now. I think that the lion's share of the product is over. But the software implementation still rears its head, during 2021. There were some struggles clearly that posed. I think Kayla, has done a great job kind of maneuvering, through some of those struggles, but they still exist. And you still have some remnants of old software, the sewer being one of them. The accounting for the sewer, it's in two places. It resides in your old software system, and it's manually put into your new software system. That's a problem. It was a problem this year. We had to work with you guys to kind of untangle some of those webs, and I think that the faster that you can get to fully using your software the way that it's supposed to be used, the better off that you're going to get out of this, this dust, of really maintaining two accounting systems, which is what you do right now. And that's a problem, and one of the things that we want to see, is, and we've talked to Diane about it, is that staff consistency. And I think that until you can look at those areas, and her and I have talked about it a lot over the past 2 or 3 weeks, but until you can look at those areas and really develop that consistency, I think you're going to continue to have some struggles, and the faster you can get away from the old, and I said this last year, faster you get away from the old, get into the new, you've got a lot of money invested the better off you're going to be from just many standpoints as your outsider looking in. That's the best way that I can, certainly say that. And we saw still some growing pains, with utilizing your new software, but I think Kayla's clearly up for the cap challenge, and I think that's that's a very positive progression, that we've seen in Lisbon for the past 2 years, for sure. We want to free up Kayla's time so she can continue to work with Kaylee and work on some best practices, work on some of the accounting fundamentals like reconciling between the town and the school. School's your largest department here at the town by far, so they need to be able to talk with each other. And my concern is like the maintenance of 2 accounting softwares and some of the, for lack of a better word, there's still the transition, getting into there. It's really taken your finance director's time away from working with the school's business manager to get on that same page so that they can work on matters of drawdowns. They can work on matters of cash reconciliation because they share, the commonalities. So that's one thing that I think that I would, bring to this table is that we're looking in the mirror, we're talking with everybody. We've progressed, and we need to continue to progress. And I think the only way to do that is to literally just look in the mirror on both sides of the street, town and school, and make sure that progression can continue. So financially, you're in the best shape that we have seen you, and I think through all of that, that's great news. I really do. I think that's great news. I think with great news comes opportunity, and certainly that's the way it's reared its head here in this town for the past year. It wasn't always these conversations, I can assure you that. We're going back 5 years and 6 years. There's been a lot of progress here at the town, at the school, and I just think that we need to do some housekeeping and some stability of staff and looking really kind of at what some of the town's needs to make sure that your finance director gets the best chance to sit in that chair and work with the school business manager, so they can develop that program. I think overall, great news. I don't sit here and have anything negative. You got the highest opinion that we can give you. I can't sit here and say, hey, fire. That we haven't said that in the past 3 years. But I think that's a sign of progress right there. So carry on. I think we all know what we need to work on. There's some conversations, that need to be had here at the town. I think we've started those conversations. I know the town has a relationship with the school right now where they can reach out across and positively, impact that progression too. So carry on. I think that, and I would say, stay to your plan. Stay true to who you are and stay to your plan.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions of Mrs. Smith in the audit? I would like to, from an observation as well, actually just point out the fact I appreciate that everybody from staff on both sides, town and school and the outside auditors actually coming in, getting this report in this time frame. Not having something that's delivered at an extension in December, January time frame wreaks havoc with the state funding for the school side of things. So we're in a much better position associated with that. Not bumping into the ceiling associated with that time frame being right in the middle of when we're preparing a budget and we don't know what fund balance money is available for both sides of the equation. That makes it a lot less complicated as well. So I thank all staff associated with that to get us to here. Second year having a finance committee actually in this as well, hearing this information firsthand. We've got a lot of positive things that have happened in the past year that been able to build upon it. So thank you.
The one thing I would say, Alan, too, is one of the topics that we've talked with Diane is that you're entering your budget stages right now into next year. Look at your capital reserve account. It's pretty well flat. And I know you guys have spent some money on some infrastructure needs. I know that there's more money coming in with the new stimulus package, to allow you to do, some things that you wouldn't have been able to do, without it. Look at your capital plan, and I'd take a look at that, and while you still can move some money in that direction, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any other questions of Mrs. Smith?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, you too.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2021-231, the Brownfields Grant.
Hey everybody, Brett Richardson, Economic and Community Development Director. Here to talk about a good story here, the Brownfield Grant that was gained in 2016, 200 grand to help look at commercial properties that could have had potential uses in the past that were perceived to be contamination. And this 2016 grant was for $200,000 to provide resources to assess properties and understand if there truly were issues there, and if there were, how to take care of them to get these commercial properties back on the market. So through a lot of good work over the last 5 years, that grant has been successfully spent down, resulted in 6 properties being looked at with phase 1 and some additional work with phase 2, which is a little deeper dive into the property. And Rusty Lantern is one example of a success story with this program, and the ongoing Rumbo funding process is another success story where I think historically that property was perceived to have some pretty serious contamination, and this Brownfield grant and the assessment cleared that up and made it clear that this property is redevelopable. So that's the good news, is that that grant has successfully been closed out, and we're actually looking to apply for another 200 grand to continue that work going forward. And it's pretty straightforward. The good news is that TRC, the current consultant, is going to take the lead on drafting this proposal. Pretty minimal work from the town staff to help complement that, and then we'll submit it by December 1st, and we'll have about 3 years to spend that down with the additional couple years for extension. So it's a good toolbox, or a tool to have in the toolbox to work with property owners and make sure that we have resources to support them to revitalize them. So we're asking tonight for authorization to submit that application for another 200 grand.
Make the motion.
Need a second for
I'll
that
second.
motion? Any questions of Brett before?
I just wanted to say, I assume there are significant properties that could use the assessment.
Yeah, there are. There's some in the pipeline for sure, and it's always good to have resources available to be opportunistic when opportunities pop up.
Any other?
Just trying to figure out why we haven't voted yet.
All in favor then?
6-0.
Thanks, Brett.
Passed.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2021-232, the Employee Compensation Study.
So this has been on our radar for the last few months. We've talked about it, and recently I went out and requested proposals from qualified professional personnel management consulting firms to conduct a salary market analysis and classification and compensation, which will include pay scales, looking at job descriptions, and so forth. I sent out the RFP to 3 players: Municipal Resources Incorporated out of Plymouth, New Hampshire, HR Maine Consulting out of Yarmouth, and Career Management Associates out of Scarborough. I did receive bids back from 2, Municipal Resources Incorporated for $32,100, and Career Management Associates for $19,355. So I would recommend that we award the bid to Career Management Associates in the amount not to exceed $19,355. And they do quite a few of these types of studies. I've actually participated in one that they were doing for another community recently. And Municipal Resources, they do a lot as well.
I'd make a motion for discussion. My motion would be paraphrased to start. The fact is, I'd like to thank all staff that actually participated in the consultation that we hired Mr. Tyner for. We had a well-versed group of individuals come forward to actually speak to him for the issues that Diane referenced here. For the listening dot that's in the corner there, the fact I want to go on record that we heard what staff had to say for some of the issues that need to be addressed. This is the first of those items actually coming forward. What I would assure you is the fact that it continues to be and will be for the next seated council, one of the priorities is retaining quality staff associated with that. We can't afford to constantly be in a cycle of actually replacing folks and expect to actually have our best performance. Investment in this for this study is a first step to show that we took it serious and still will continue to do so. I'd make the motion to award that bid for 19,355 to Career Management Council.
I'll second, and then for discussion.
But yes, who wants to go first on the discussion?
I'm going to beat you to it, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to piggyback what you just said by simply saying that this is the right time to do this study for everything that we just heard about from the auditors regarding making sure that some of the biggest challenges that we have is that our inability to keep the seasoned staff in place to help the machine move forward. We got great tools. We have great software. We have great new equipment. It means nothing if we cannot keep players who are trained, that we spend money to train, and then watch them go away, whether it's the police department with Public Works, right here in this building. We have to work harder at that, and we're sandwiched in between a couple of large municipalities with a larger pay scale. Well, I don't think we need to match what they're doing. I just think we need to be competitive, and then the people that are in this community will sell it. The people that they serve, whoever works in this building or in the other department, or the people that they're working with day to day. So we come to work usually to work with the folks that we know and like. That's what makes it easy to get through. And so we have to get qualified folks and keep them. And this study is the way to start realizing where we're falling short, in what professional areas, specifically leadership areas, are we falling short and keeping people from wanting to stay and help grow these different departments. That's all I got. Thank you, Mark.
Yep. No, I have two questions. My first one is, where in the budget is the money for this coming from?
I'm going to be taking it from all different departments to cover it.
Okay, so you're going to cobble it together from various
Yep.
existing accounts. Okay, and no, I mean that's a pretty big difference between the two proposals there. It's like $12,000. So I was curious if is there a difference in scope between what the two proposals are proposing?
Not that I could see,
Okay.
because the scope is pretty much the scope, and they have to do what we've asked them to do. So I don't know why there's such a difference.
One was
Out of New Hampshire, one's right here in Maine, so I think that's going to be part of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because, I mean, they're going to have to do some significant travel to come up here.
Yeah.
If I was guessing, too, I would say the main company's advantage is that they have a better understanding of municipalities out of the gate, whereas the New Hampshire folks have to get up to speed a little bit quicker. They could use generalization. But I think that those folks, to your point, they've done a mix of everything across the board. I thought the same thing, too, Mark, when I first heard the difference and saw the difference in the numbers. But
And all three were recommended by Toby?
Two of them, actually, there was a fourth one that I reached out to, and they never got back to me. So between Toby and Dan Stockford, yeah.
And you've dealt with them in the past,
Yes.
specifically the one?
Yep.
Okay. You had a question?
No, the only thing I had was a statement. I know that we're in the year of lack of staff in places, and everything seems to be COVID-related and staffing shortages and all that stuff. I just wanted to say that this whole climate survey was based on what in-house work was done and was not directly infected by COVID at all. We don't, at least when we thought about it, we weren't thinking about staffing shortages because of COVID. So this is something that the town has needed for some time, and I'm optimistic that we'll have good results.
I think, too, worth noting here is that this is a study to make an assessment of areas of need, opportunity, where are we grossly out of whack when we look at all these positions. And then from there, we can make a plan of attack. So it doesn't mean that we're going to go out, get this study, come back and realize that 7 positions in the entire organization need to be bumped up, and so it's going to be a significant bump. No, I just think you build a plan of attack off that to say, what are the business critical pieces where we need to attack first, and then prioritize accordingly.
And these businesses are very busy right now because there are a lot of other communities doing the same thing for the same reasons.
Sure.
The point that I would reiterate again to our staff is we as a council actually believe in the staff that we currently have. We've grown that over the course of the last 5-6 years as a group. We're very pro-public safety, this side of the table, and pro-people. In that regard, the people that we actually employ. We heard what's here. Diane is actively working with Mr. Tyner on an ongoing basis for all the content. This is one piece of it, but it is one that is big enough that needs to be addressed coming into the budget, where the real heavy lifting actually begins for the next seated council. So I would reiterate that for the listening public, for the people that we represent. 2 words that I genuinely believe that aren't used enough in this language, thank you. Goes a long ways in that regard, is the fact is we have excellent staff. We need to do what we can do to try to retain as many as we can. Anybody else?
Just a brief comment. I think back in when this form of government was written with the charter, there was a charge in there for whoever the town manager was to develop a pay scale. Within 2 years of implementation, I understand that was attempted, but council never passed a pay scale. So we need this to be able to do that, and I think that'll make things much fairer.
All right. All in favor?
6-0. Order
Next
passed.
item, 12.
Order 2021-233, the turnout gear purchase.
We have a... There he is. Fine young man.
Blair Fire Chief, I'm coming forward to you tonight requesting to treat my turnout gear purchase as a single source or sole source provider with Bergeron Clothing, who is the dealer for Globe firefighting garments. The firefighter switched to Globe here about 3 years ago. And what I'm going to summarize basically what I wrote down. Basically what I've run into is a lot of the items in firefighting are kind of, it's a niche market. When I'm doing things like turnout gear, there's only one vendor in our region for each brand to be used. So use comparison, imagine you want to buy Levi's, but there's only one Levi dealer in the state of Maine. There's only one Carhartt dealer in the state of Maine. That's what I'm dealing with. And our gear has to be certified through the NFPA. That state law requires that. And when these things are certified, they're certified as an ensemble, jackets and pants together, and that's how they're certified. If I buy different brands of gear, when I have to outfit a firefighter, I may be outfitting them in different brands of gear, different brand jacket, different brand pant. And that could potentially, I'm not saying it will, but I said potentially opens up to some liability that everybody's ever heard. Because they're not designed to cover part A and part B. And I'll say that these things aren't cheap. One set of gear can run around $2,700 for jackets and pants. And they are clothing, which means they do wear out. Have to be replaced on a regular basis. Having the ability to utilize one vendor for the gear that we selected this past time around just keeps things consistent and keeps continuity amongst the brands of gear. And that's what I'm running into, and that's why I'm asking to treat this in that direction.
Take a motion for discussion.
Make the motion for discussion.
I'll second.
I got the second. Perfect. The thing that I would offer is the exact point that Chief is making, I will be making to Lewiston's Finance Committee for the exact same reasons next Monday. Globe Gear, same situation. They regionalize all of New England. So Bergeron Protective Clothing is the brand that, the vendor that sells the Globe gear on their behalf. In Lewiston, it's something like 90% of the gear is that case. Pushing something out on a year-by-year basis for bidding, the other companies aren't even going to respond associated with that because they know that it's a Globe gear shop. And the fact that, why bother? Point that I'm trying to educate a finance committee at my level is the exact situation that Chief has got here. You can't swap it out. It's not plug and play. And the fact that the clothing is intended to actually be staffed for whoever actually he has available. He has key people that he's buying for, but then he's got the new recruit that he actually needs to plug and play as well. And when you start playing with mixing brands, it's just a bad situation. Anybody else? All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
The only question I had is that I didn't see it in your content. How many sets we buy in this year? 5. Perfect.
The last few years I've made 5, and it seemed to be with current size of departments. That seems to be the right number to try to replace the older gears are going without breaking the bank.
Perfect.
I do have just a quick question. You had mentioned, like with anything, it has a life cycle. What's the estimated life cycle?
10 years.
Okay.
Per set of gear.
Thank you.
Estimated life cycle. It does depend
calls go up, then you're going to see the gear get used more. Sure.
Firefighter A, who's Eric Watson, mentioned his name earlier, he might go every 6 years, whereas another individual might be able to go 12.
Yep.
And, get the use it quicker.
Thank you.
sir.
Absolutely.
Next item, 12.
Order 2021-234, request to auction old equipment and granite curbing.
Hello, everyone. Randy Sear, Public Works and Solid Waste Director. Cleaning out around the garage, we have a bunch of excess granite that we don't use, corners, tombstones, for catch bases that we're no longer using. We're using regular either asphalt or concrete curbing. We got some equipment, a combination from all departments. We've got some from rec department. We've got the generator from the police department. We've got one of our own trucks that are being auctioned off. Last time we sent everything to Auctions International, we got really good money for vehicles I didn't think we'd get $500 for. We got thousands of dollars for. So it's crazy not to use Auctions International again. And if you could send me the contact
Yep.
again for
Done.
the granite guy, I'll let him know that where it's going to be for, it's going to Auctions International, and he can bid on that. So I'm just asking your permission to auction these pieces off.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Absolutely. The fact is, it's been a win-win for us and Lewis, and getting that information, being able to plug and play it here in Lisbon has been a windfall. Randy, during his tenure, has actually taken charge of not collecting this stuff around the PW facility, and I appreciate you for doing that. The fact is, the first year that we were on the council, having stuff parked and have it sit over the winter, it just drops in value. We're not getting anything better. So, by all means, they've got the national database. They do the lifting, I should say, and it costs us immaterial amounts. Win-win. Absolutely.
We've already come and taken pictures
Good.
of everything,
Dave's a good man.
and with your permission, it'll be listed right off the bat.
Right on.
Get this stuff out of here before snow flies.
Yeehaw.
All in favor? Thank you, Randy. I'll send you that.
Thank you.
Very much.
If I forget, remind me in the morning.
Yep, all right, will do.
Thank you. Next item, 12.
Under other business, council committee reports.
School.
I did not make the last meeting, so I got nothing to report. I'm sorry.
Planning.
They're meeting Thursday, and I understand there's a potential new application, or is an application for a subdivision.
Right on.
And,
LDC.
still working, well, not still working on banner applications for a couple of areas in town, the downtown areas. Still getting the ideas together and some pictures and things that we want to think about putting into them and then submitting it. Looks pretty good. We could do banners. I know people have concerned about this end of town often, and we can do them. We thought that we couldn't. The street lights were too close to the street, but it looks like we can, appropriately sized in there. So that's pretty much what that is. Also attending to some of the survey things that are still going on regarding the market studies.
On that topic, Fern seemed to suggest that PCL was tapped into ones that actually are the best suited for the banners, if they don't already have him as a resource plug in.
There've been conversations back and forth with them. Yeah.
Perfect.
I went and got some pricing from automated sources, but there are local places that can make. We thought initially the banners were going to be that they could make would be too big, but that's not the case. So we're reinvestigating.
I would advocate. Coastal does all of Lewiston's. The quality that they're putting out for the pricing being two-sided associated with that, and he is local enough that he did all the Moxie banners back when. He's worked with PCL extensively, and the fact is I can't say enough about him. Don't have it be just about the price point. The quality after the service associated with that is he's a firm that's going to do well in that regard too.
Yeah, Angie D. Morris has been working on that. And,
Yeah.
with
And
the-
she's a good person, so
Yeah.
she'll get it. Anything else? I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's it.
Conservation was canceled for this month, so I have nothing to report. Recreation?
The recreation soccer tournament or end of year event happened last Saturday, and it was a massive turnout. I did a drive-by on that, and it was the slow roll through, and I'm guessing there was at least 100 cars and quite a few teams out there just rocking, so that was pretty awesome to see. And Mother Nature cooperated to boot, so those kids had a good day.
County, this isn't my last item actually doing. I made mention, and Norm heard it, and was talking to Ron Smith before the meeting. The county commissioners meet tomorrow night. It's the first year in 5 that they haven't endorsed the county budget committee's recommendation for a budget. They want to look at the revenues and reserves utilization in this budget, so I will be present tomorrow night to make the case that for a budget that they've they made no adjustments to reduce it from 12.44% that they thought was acceptable. If they're going to increase it, they ought to offset it for something on the expense side to speak to what we did, spending a month and a half of our time with Mark and I and the rest of the committee. I'm confident that they'll see it my way because honestly, there'll be another one-man hostage situation because it's bad business. 12.44% in any given year is not acceptable this day and age, and to channel Larry Fillmore, it's not sustainable. Library, sir.
Nothing new to report.
Water?
Went to the Water Commissioners meeting the other night. Art McLean is the new chair. Marie has stepped down to just be the third person after she got reelected. I think she's happy with that. They adopted their budget for the coming calendar year, and they're on a calendar year basis. And what some citizens of town, many citizens of town, have been interested in the corrosion control project in the municipal water supply. And they're waiting parts, they're waiting tanks, I think, that should be in soon. They're hoping to start that after the beginning of the first of the year.
Finance, how about you, Dan? Got anything from them that we haven't already covered with the audit tonight? I thought it was ahead of you guys. That's why I didn't want to speak for you. Okay.
Meeting's going to be about gearing up for next year, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the items that council had talked about when the finance committee had presented the transfer station. So we'll be having that discussion on Monday night and gearing up for budget season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Town manager.
We're going to be assembling the Thanksgiving baskets on Monday. Public Works is going to go over first thing in the morning to get all the food from Food City and bring it over to the Lisbon Falls Baptist Church. And then from 3 to 6 in the evening, we will be giving out the Thanksgiving baskets. We're accepting the applications for the Christmas Giving Tree program. They're coming in slowly, but I think after Thanksgiving, I'll see more of those come in. And then the Route 125 project should be going out to bid this week. It might have gone out today, and it's going to be out there for about a month before they request the proposals back. And that's all I have.
Department head reports. Anybody have any questions? Appointments. Can we do them all at once?
Before we go, I have a couple questions for Diane.
Sorry.
On this issue that was brought forward tonight by this gentleman here, that have we reached out to the state and the DOT at all about making improvements to 196 and Littlefield Road intersection? Could we do that, because I think that's a serious situation there, and I would like to see something done there. I mean, I think you could do a turning lane or reduce the speed or flashing lights, something there at least to try to make that safer, because that is a dangerous intersection.
I know Chief McGee has had some conversations, but
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
sure how Tom has gone.
DOT did go out and they put up signs like caution traffic
Yeah,
entering, big trucks entering
Very helpful.
by I mean, it is.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
It's better because my husband's a truck driver. He pulls out of Dingley Press every day, 50,000 times a day. And the amount of cars that he either almost ends up colliding with or driving underneath him is ridiculous, whether it's pulling out or turning in. But the signs do help because people know that there's an entry somewhere to a plant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a turning lane there from Dingley to.
I don't think he'd be
Littlefield
able
Road.
to even fit that in
Yeah,
there.
I don't know. But I mean, at least at Littlefield Road, you could probably fit something. The people go around as it is now, so.
It would be kind of nice to instead have like
People get
flashing
rear-ended
lights
there.
at least that has like when there's vehicles entering
Yeah, some
of
kind
a
of yellow
certain
flashing lights or
weight
something
to let them know.
yeah, something to. I think we need to get DOT to look in on that.
I can attest to the point about the credit union and the post office too. I'm just when you come out of, for example, the credit union, trying to head back towards Lisbon or the village, you can't see that lane is melded back in. It's not center lane anymore, and so you pull out thinking might be pulling out thinking you're happy and you're not. You're right in somebody's traffic. So that's not long enough in there. So yeah, we need to at least bug them. I know they tend to go by how many accidents they've had and over a certain period of time. But
I mean, there's
Yeah,
been like what 4 deaths, 3
Yeah.
or 4 deaths right there at Peppermint Corner.
It's
I know.
unfortunate that the only way you're going to get any sort of action is if you reach a specific number, a threshold of deaths in a particular area. So I think maybe we have to press that issue. But first step starts with just making the call. So
Yeah.
I agree with you, Mark. I think it's a good idea.
You said questions.
Yep, I have another question. Also was
No.
last year in our budget season, I know I pushed pretty hard for trying to get some signs for that trailhead access on the through Capitol Avenue. And I was down there just recently. I walked that, and there's no signs down there at all. So I was a little disappointed to see nothing at all down there. All I'm talking about is just like similar to the ones we put up for the downtown parking, those kind of things. Put up trailhead access and an arrow, and because right now there's no indication you drive down through there. You go, it looks like it's just the old railroad siding, and there's no. If I was from out of town, I wouldn't know this is a public parking lot in there at all. I think it was some industry. So we really need a couple of signs down there. One at the corner, by the traffic light there pointing in, and then one right by the entrance to the parking lot on Capitol Avenue. At least those two. Yeah, I'd really like to see that. Some motion on that.
You also mentioned the Miller Trail. Was there signage in that you were looking for? Too?
Right. What I'm looking for is the access to Miller Trail through the Capitol Avenue because there's parking there. We put in a little dirt road that
not in the
you walk
area.
in there.
I was thinking along the area that they just did the erosion work. You weren't in that area. You were talking.
Right. I was talking specifically down on Capitol
Which
Avenue.
one? Where at the lights you said?
At the light on Capitol Avenue. Right.
Right, we're writing.
Right. You take a left to go into the down towards the. Like there should be somebody pointing in that. So if you're driving 196, you see there's a sign. Trailhead access here, and then ideally another one. Right there by the entrance to that little parking lot that would say public parking trail use or something.
Yep.
I'd like to thank Randy's crew and Mark, Parks and Public Works. The Miller Trail erosion work does look good.
yes,
The fact is, I know it was middle of last week that they were saying it was down. So when we had the Thursday off, we actually went for a bike ride and find that it was open. I actually was expecting to have to turn around and go up Summer Street to be able to reroute, but it was quite nice to see that that's actually been done. So
It's mid-November and those trails are still wide open for use.
all the time, absolutely.
I think they still have fencing to come yet, but other than
Yeah,
that,
by all means, it looks good.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but Graziano's Park doesn't look too bad either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look too bad either.
Yeah, it's
Holy
nice fence
Cassie,
there.
it's Walgreens, not Rite Aid. Rite Aid's gone.
It's Rite Aid. It'll forever be Rite Aid.
Here with the times. It's
I know the feeling. I call it that all the time. My wife yells at me.
I mean,
All right, now we have next item,
Shall I attempt to make a motion for you?
please.
Okay, so would you like to accept the resignation from Christopher Rugalis on the Board of Appeals and to appoint Noli Lopez to the Board of Appeals and to accept the resignation of Dean Willie on the Lisbon Development Committee and to appoint Joe Jean Keller to the Lisbon Development Committee as an associate member to 2023?
so moved.
did you get?
Did we miss Mr.
Yeah.
No, that's not a.
No.
That's not happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
No, it's not an appointment.
It's just an announcement.
I got you.
So
Okay,
who
Oh,
seconded this?
Got you.
I did.
First, second.
Seconded Norm.
All,
And
all in favor?
All right, 6-0. And then Order 2021-237 is an announcement that the Ethics Panel appointment by the school committee was made at their last meeting, and they appointed Leonard Lednum, a regular member.
Thank you. If I could read better, I'd be better.
Yeah, they're gonna miss you when you go, because that was a thing of beauty, just right there, to have that all together.
Well, as it turns out,
Never going. What are
trying
you
to
talking
figure
about?
My wife has always found it, I can't miss you unless you do go. So the fact is, I don't know what she's trying to tell me there, but I think she's pretty blunt.
So that, I just want a quick question though about Mr. Regulus. That was just a formality because he took a position in the other,
Yes.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
just
can't
want to make
serve
sure.
on both.
My memory was a little fuzzy on that. I was like, I think he had to do that in order to be on
Right.
the other. Okay, that's
right.
Good.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Next item, 12.
Counselor Communications.
Anybody got any?
I got something.
Please.
This is the last time we're going to do this, so I'm going to take a couple minutes here. I just want to thank you, one and all. I said this way back when I started this, when I was trying to get this seat. It should treat this as a privilege, because it truly is an honor to work for this community. I grew up here, and I'm proud to put some time in on this side of the podium to understand it a little bit better, and gives me appreciation for how hard everybody in this community works in whatever role they work for this town. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to work with each and every one of you, those that are still, that I've worked with that have moved on, and those that are still here and will be here long after I'm gone. I will say thank you for everything I've learned from you, because I've learned a lot. Most times I sat in these rooms and I just listened, because you all came with so much expertise in your areas, and you're such professionals in the way you do business. I couldn't help but learn from you all. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to work with all of you on this side of the aisle as well. We may not always share the same opinion, but we certainly had a whole lot of fun doing it most days. Well, yeah, well, I can look at you. We had a whole lot of fun doing it most days, even when it wasn't fun, and even when it was really hard. So that was my big spiel. And last but not least, my wife and my girls, for all the time that I wasn't there when I was here doing stuff. Thanks for dealing with that and me being grumpy when I came home sometimes. Thanks, guys.
Anybody else?
As vice chair, I have something.
Go for it.
I'm going to stand up in a minute, but I wanted to say that I recognize that as a member of the town council that we have two people that have served a continuous 6 years, or three people that have served a continuous 6 years on the council, and that in itself is worthy of recognition. After completing 2 of my 3 years, I'm wondering how the heck is that going? But you guys did it for 6, and some very difficult times when we had some disputes going on back and forth. But you guys have done it, and I also feel that I have personally learned a lot from just listening to everybody here. So I appreciate it. And on behalf of the town of Lisbon, the town of Lisbon would like to present each of you a token of appreciation, our appreciation. And I'll go get my hand. I'll let you show everybody what it is. And Norm.
Thank you, sir.
And last, but I guess not least,
Trust me. I would disagree with you, Mr. Fellows. That's part of the
nothing
course.
new.
Right. What I would offer is the fact that I am very much appreciative of 6 years ago when we were naive enough to think that this made sense. I have been in the best of company since, because we came in that first year prepared to be a very vocal minority with expectation of riding the seat and being told no. And within the first month, it played out very differently, and it didn't have to be. I want to thank people like Roger Bigford, Eric Materiers of the world associated with that, because they didn't have to see the world from our view, but knowing what that item was back when, with paying both sides of a legal battle with the school, that we could do better in investing in our infrastructure and some of the other items that were in our platform, I want to thank you guys for putting up with me for 6 years, because you know me well enough to know that when I unload, I'm going to reload, and I don't give a shit in that at all.
Really?
In that, yeah, exactly. The soundbite goes out. I don't care. You guys can fast forward through it or censor me if you want. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, if you would do the exact same thing again and not change the course, you did the right thing. And I believe 6 years ago we did. And we did our piece. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree, and I got a lot of faith in, I think with some strong folks that were elected, and coming in some seasoned veterans, I think you guys got a great makeup, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you shape and mold these next few years.
Well, show the camera what you got, anyway.
Cassie was supposed to do that, I heard.
Well, you were, but nobody did.
I didn't want to open it first. I didn't want the snakes to come out on me. I like somebody else. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. The one that I used at work is
Thank you
already
very much.
worn out, so
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
very appreciative.
I don't
Thank
want
you
to
so
take
much.
credit. Your town manager was the purchasing agent. So.
Nice. Thank you.
She's always
Thank you,
very
Diane.
thoughtful. Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
This is really nice.
I just want to say too that it's been a great 6 years working with you, and I think that you really moved the town in a very good direction, very progressive direction, and I think listening to Ron tonight it solidifies all the work that you've done in the last 6 years. So, and I'm going to miss working with all of you. And I wish you the best, and who knows, you may come back someday. And I look forward to
Or
working with
certainly
the new
get volunteered
council.
for something.
Yeah, he'll get volunteered to come back.
Exactly.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Council communications.
Audience participation and response for new items, if you are all
Anybody
done.
got anything else that hasn't already been covered?
It's sad to say that so many people have to die before traffic improvements get made. And anybody who's tried to go in or out of the post office or the credit union has seen near misses.
Mm-hmm.
And the postal workers have either seen the accidents or heard them and maybe responded to help somebody, save somebody's life. But it's still sad to say that we have to have X number of deaths before something gets done.
I appreciate you bringing it forward, because I think you bringing that flag forward today helped us be able to take that and move it to the next level so we can get some attention from MDOT. So rest assured, we will definitely drive that message up, that your message about it's sad that it takes, or how many lives does it take before somebody will take action. We can bring that message forward.
My uncle used to live at the top of the hill, 125. He stopped to listen to a policeman one day and asked him if he could park his vehicle where it couldn't be seen from the road, and then come sit on the tailgate of his pickup in his garage. And after 5 minutes, the policeman asked, "Uncle, what am I here for?" He says, "It'll only be another minute." Within another minute, somebody went by Uncle's house at the top of the hill, and when they saw a straightaway, they floored it. He says, "You mind if I make a call?" He says, "That's what you're here for." Within 3 days, they caught at least 15 people going over the speed limit, and that's when it was still 40. And there's almost no shoulder from 108 King Road to Route 9. And one of my neighbors has a habit of walking with traffic. So, well, it's quiet. You can hear the traffic coming.
Yeah, wearing black, no doubt.
At dusk.
Yeah, no, I think you.
I love those folks.
I can appreciate what you're saying. I think we all can. So I think that we will take the message up, and I think that if you do see that sort of activity on your road, I'm sure Chief McGee and the rest of the law enforcement here would at least love to hear about it when it's happening, so they can maybe change how they do their work to see if they can maybe incorporate a couple more runs over that way at times when you're noticing an uptick in that sort of behavior.
Well, Public Works trimming the trees so that the signs that say blind driveway up ahead, that would help too. But it doesn't matter if they're looking at their cell phones or playing video games while they're driving.
True. Those things won't work, but I just saw out of the corner of my eye a very studious person taking her pen and writing down notes. I'm sure she's going to talk to the public works about cutting down some limbs. So, or at least putting it on a
And Randy
on a
was here
list.
at the beginning of the
Yeah,
conversation,
Randy made
too,
the same
so.
note. I was watching that too, so.
So you made some change, and I think that hopefully we'll be able to get DOT's attention and make them understand the importance of at least getting somebody out here to take a peek and see what level, where they can raise this up. Because
When I presented the petition to get the speed limit lowered, the town council said, well, we can't do this because the state is the one that regulates speed. And I came home from work one day and there was a new sign there that said 30. I'm not sure that anybody who travels the road even noticed that there was a different sign for what the speed limit was. They just,
maybe somebody got creative and said forgiveness, permission, and I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to how that sign showed up, but
my uncle once said that you want to slow down traffic, put up a fence that says news cow in the head. How effective is that going to be in February?
You never know.
Thank you, sir.
yes, thank you.
Anybody else? Moving right along.
Executive session, order 2021-240 to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, section 405-6A, personnel matters.
We'll be coming back for an item.
Probably not, no.
Class
Excuse me.
dismissed. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming
A
out.
vote?
Yes, I had the motion. Who was the second?
I'll second.
Nope, not our second.
Cassie had the second.
And all in favor? 6-0. Let me turn off the cameras.
Last time we did that.
I don't know.
After coming out of session, that's out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.